How much time do you spend per day learning how to get better with the equipment that's available to you? Having a better understanding of your camera, the ins and the outs, knowing how to move your light around, as well as how to edit photos in a way that dramatically improves the deliverables is absolutely essential for every single portrait photographer. There is no doubt about that. But do you spend the same amount of time thinking about how to direct your clients better when they're in front of your camera? For many lifestyle portrait photographers, this aspect of the job is simply an afterthought and not a primary focus of attention. But here's the reality. Knowing every menu setting in your camera, or every option that you could use for your light, or every keyboard shortcut that you have in your editing program is not going to ensure a successful and valuable lifestyle portrait session with your client. This stuff is important. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's not the end-all be-all of ensuring that you're going to have a referable, successful photography business. Us portrait photographers sometimes need to remind ourselves that we're not in the technology business. We're in the people business. And if we can't create an opportunity for our clients to succeed when they're in front of the camera, directing them through the whole process and holding their hand through the entire experience, the work overall at the end of the day is going to suffer. And that's why I want to take time out in this video to go over some of the insights that I've learned through the hundreds of branded lifestyle portrait sessions I've conducted to be able to help fill that gap for you. Here are 8 ways to dramatically improve the way you direct portrait clients in front of the camera. Let's get into it. Don't show up to a session without at least having had a conversation with your client first. Get a sense of their personality, understand the wrinkles and nuances of what makes them uniquely them, so that you have more of an understanding of how to communicate with them, specifically the moment that they're in front of your camera. When you're on the phone with them, strategize and game plan. Be curious, figure out what they need, who they are, the problems that they solve for their clients, all of those different pieces to be able to put a very comprehensive shot list together so that you know exactly what you're going to be shooting and they'll know exactly what they need to bring and how to prepare for the session. This in-depth conversation that helps inform you of their personality and what they need in terms of the photo assets not only is important in those respects, but it's also important because you've now built rapport and connection with this person. You've given them an indication that you care beyond that of just taking pretty photos of them. You have in-depth knowledge about their process and who they are. All of these things really help to build that trust factor, and that is exactly what you need going into the session. Whatever fires or problems or emotions or whatever is going on outside here in your life, you need to be able to comfortably put that stuff to the side and focus your full attention on the person that's in front of your camera. There's no other way that you could do it. Because if you don't do that, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to be distracted. You're not going to be able to fully engage the person that you're working with. And as a result, the photos suffer. When you start to feel like your mind is veering during a session and you start going down some dark roads and you realize that you're pulling yourself out of the moment with your client and into your own head, that's when you need to remind yourself that you are a professional photographer. Emphasis on professional. Now, I know that it is difficult to be able to do this, but at the same time, you have people that trust you with their time and their money to be able to create the assets that they need to be able to push themselves out into the world the way that they want. And that is a responsibility that you chose to take on. You need to act accordingly. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, I'm pretty terrible at this, to 10, I got this, no problem. How comfortable are you compartmentalizing during a portrait session? Share your number and share your why in the comments section below. This one is also super important because listen, I know that during a portrait session, especially in a location where there's a lot of things going on, a lot of variables at play. It can oftentimes get very difficult and very overwhelming in your head to negotiate all of these variables to line up to be able to capture your client in a very compelling, interesting, and genuine type of way. With all that being said, you can never let your client see you sweat. You need to convey this sense of confidence, this ownership of, I got this no matter what. Because the moment that that veneer comes off, they start seeing you freaking out, you got yourself some problems, because now they no longer have trust that you're going to be able to deliver for them. When giving directions to clients in front of the camera, be clear, precise, intentional, purposeful. That's going to go a long way to keeping them deeply engaged with you, because they can tell that you've got this. At the end of the day, you're the one that's driving the car, so act accordingly. During a lifestyle portrait session, a client every now and then will want to detour off of the shot sheet and try something exotic and different. Now, in most cases, from my experience, a lot of these ideas aren't worth the effort to actually create them. However, rather than just saying, no, we're not going to do it, it's going to take too much time, blah, 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 hitting them with negativity. Instead, approach it with a practical mindset, with open-mindedness, and say, yeah, we could give that a try. But if we try this, that means it's going to take this amount of time to set that up. It may or may not work. And what that also means is that some of the other things on that shot sheet might have to go away because of the time we're spending on this detour. So don't just be defensive and shut them down from the beginning. Work it out with them and let them know what it actually will take to create that different type of photo. When it comes to the lingo, the catchphrases, the buzzwords, the phrases you use to inspire different expressions, different thought, different movement of the subject in front of the camera, don't use other people's words. That's terrible. Not just because, you're bumming off of somebody else's effort and work and their own style, but what you're really also doing is handcuffing yourself to be genuine with your own client that's in front of your camera. And the moment that you start using these phrases and this lingo, all of a sudden, it becomes a bit unnatural, the dynamic between you two. And what'll end up happening is the client's going to sniff that out. And their trust factor in you being able to deliver on your promise of creating high quality images starts to suffer because you're not being genuine. Be true to who you are, the way that you communicate with people. You're great just the way you are. You don't need to change anything else. Just own it. One of the worst things that you could do is to BS your clients. Don't do that. Don't tell them that everything looks amazing, that they look like a supermodel, that they're gonna have so many photos they're not gonna know what to do with them. Be straight up with them from the moment that they get in front of that camera up and until the moment that they leave. Talk about what's working, what's not working, bring up what their insecurities are, address them, get it all out in the open. One of the best ways to keep your clients engaged and knowing what's going on in the session is by taking some time out in between shots and in between scenes to be able to bring your camera over, review some of the shots so that they can spot check how they're looking. That way, it'll calm their fears because now they can see exactly what's coming out of the camera. And that would be the best time to be able to point out what is working and what could be improved upon. Well, I know this one is especially difficult. You need to resist the temptation to pop off and say something wild and crazy in a heated moment or an exchange with your client. That can't happen. Oh yeah? Well, here's what I think. No, definitely can't do that. Rather than blurt out what you actually want to say, that is the best time to get up and say that you need to go change some gear or change a battery or change a car. Basically lie to them. Come up with something that can get you away from them for just a few moments. And then when you walk away, allow yourself to breathe it out. Slow breath in, hold it for a couple beats, slow breath out. Make sure they can't see you, but you just do this on your own to be able to regulate your own emotion so that you're not ready to go over there and throw them out a window. Once you've composed yourself, walk right back over and then engage this conversation with logic and reason. The last thing that you want to do is to have a blow up in the middle of the session. What ends up happening is shortly after that outburst is done, the rest of the session is completely torpedoed, and that's not exactly an ideal scenario. In case you were wondering, yes, I am speaking from experience on this one. I'm pretty sure that for the majority of portrait photographers out there, none of us signed up to be a shooter full-time so that we could also be a therapist, but apparently it's a part of the job description. Who knew? You need to stay in tune with your client. See their body language. See the way that they're talking back to you. Does it sound like they're a little frazzled, a little stressed out? We need to be able to get them from where they are in their head back into the present moment. So it's important to constantly check in with them in between shots. What do they need right now? A cheerleader? Some tough love? A shoulder to cry on? Or some motivational kicks in the ass? Figure it out and give them what they need. Check in and see where they're at. What's their energy level? What's their body language like? How are they responding to your question? Either way, proceed accordingly so that you can get their heads back into the game, back into being in front of that camera and out of their heads and in their own thoughts. And then bill them a little extra for the therapy. When you internalize all of these insights and strategies on how to direct a client during a portrait session, that is going to dramatically improve your ability to shoot at any place, anytime, regardless of what's going on in your head, your client's head, or in the environment in which you're shooting. Long story short, you're ready to take on the entire world then, my friend. Who's better than you right now? If you found value in this video, you know what to do. Give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, tell your friends, the whole 9 yards. You can also subscribe to my channel. I share a lot of insights and strategies into the how, what, and why behind lifestyle portrait photography, and I'd love to share it with you. Well, that's it for now, folks. Be well in life and photos, and I'll see you next time.